1. Real Estate Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 2. Business Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 3. Entertainment Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 4. Medical Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 5. Security Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 6. Law Enforcement Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 7. Mental Health Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 8. Financial Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 9. Housing Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 10. Education Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 11. Piracy Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 12. Cable Television Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 13. Product Liability Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 14. Library Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 15. Escort Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 16. License Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 17. Drug Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 18. Mail Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 19. Ransomware Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 20. Foreigner Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 21. Ransom Forgery Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 22. Telecommunications Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 23. Pornography Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 24. Transportation Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 25. Internet Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 26. Military Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 27. Telephone Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 28. Disease Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 29. Email Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 30. Weapons Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 31. Uniforms Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 32. Credit Card Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 33. Graphics Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 34. Mobility Device of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 35. Butt Rock Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 36. Assault Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 37. Terrorist Threats Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 38. Panhandle Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 39. Homeless Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 40. Construction Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 41. Ransom Collectors Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 42. Employee Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 43. Storage Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 44. Television Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 45. Book Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 46. Radio Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 47. Software Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 48. Church Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 49. Temp Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 50. Property Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 51. Contractors Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 52. Subcontractors Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 53. The Serve Murder Squad Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 54. Sequestered Gang Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 55. Witness Protection Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 56. Food and Beverage Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 57. Packaging and Labeling Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 58. Identification Card Maker Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 59. Stockers Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 60. PA System Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 61. Harassment Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 62. Court Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 63. Website Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 64. Commercial Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 65. Armed Robbery Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 66. Prostitution Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 67. Music Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 68. Magazine Department of the Racketeer Influence Club Organized Crime Act. 69. Business Merger Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 70, News Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 71, Vehicle Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 72, Clothing Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 73, Closed Circuit Television Network Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 74, Legal Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 75, Alcohol Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 76, Lookout Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 77, Cash Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 78, Walkie Talkie Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 79, Slavery Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 80, Tobacco Department of Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 81, Rental Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 82, Decapitation Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 83, Torture Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act. 84, Music Department of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Crime Act. There were several Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Acts departments arranged by the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Act for home invasion, murder of Helen Grace Strickland at 1905 Arrowhead Circle, Las Vegas, Nevada. And the defendants, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, is living in the house right now, time sharing it. And she bought and paid for every receipt for it. And they had to do slavery of Aaron to get away with it. Um, and so all of the Racketeer Influence Corp. Organized Crime Acts was turned into the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the police, and even the courts were acted as a witness. There's a complete book of records and a complete history of witnesses and uh, an extensive mail log. There's over 80,000 witnesses, and over 100 of them are law enforcement. They wanted to keep their victims inside of these departments off the dry land created by God, any one of the 195 countries established by God, BC Tower of Babel, and away from the United States of America. And they use these businesses and these departments of the RICO Act to commit their crimes in hopes of getting away with the crimes that were against the laws of the church, the laws of God, the laws of the synagogues, the laws of the land, the laws of all of the 195 countries, the common laws, and the laws of the state, and the laws of the federal government, and the laws of the district, the laws of the U.S. Constitution. And so they thought that they were going to be protected by the business license and insurance and bonding of the businesses that they established, and these many departments will allow them to get away with their crimes. They got away for a very long time until it was reported. Now, I want a second opinion. I'm asking the Prime Minister of Japan to witness to what took place in the trajectory, the timeline of the home invasion, murder, and slavery by way of RICO Act, and get an attorney to represent me, and also to protect me during the court process. And then also, I'm asking for expert witnesses to come through in forensics and DNA and analysis and confirm identity from the helix. All right, so um, I'm asking for other individuals to witness this from 195 countries and to come forward, join our parting list for our party in our passport, um, in our redress and grievance list, um, and in our support list. You can contact us at bandbankofsony@gmail.com, bandbankofsony@gmail.com.